keep that applause going for Ellen Nordberg as she comes up here. Ellen!
Okay, the big girl mic. I first met Paul around a campfire where he was telling a story about two climbers in Yosemite. The lead climber had made it partway up his pitch when a boulder the size of a storage shed came loose from above. The leader squished himself into a crack, but the belayer had nowhere to hide. So he locked off the rope to protect the leader and braced himself. The leader survived because of this choice. The belayer did not. And I knew from the way that Paul told this story, he would have made the same choice as that belayer. I was 37 and living in a boy-free zone after a very bad breakup of a 9-year relationship. I had been married before and divorced in my 20s, and I was pretty sure that I had no more chances at love. I joined a mountaineering club to get back into climbing, and Paul and I were in the same trad lead climbing workshop. He made me laugh, watching me try to wrestle out of a fleece pullover, which got caught on my fleece hat and jerked me around like a crazed marionette. An aerospace engineer, he taught me how to make better climbing anchor placements, which our European instructor had determined that mine were less than optimal. In order to impress Paul, I grabbed the sharp end of the rope and took the lead and wrestled my way up 2 moves in a pitch that Paul had already determined to be way too tricky. I ended up on my ass at his feet with a ripped shirt and a sprained ankle. But his belay technique had spared me from far worse. Not long after that, we started dating. And he told me right up front, I'm gonna be a dad. He wanted to be a dad. I was skittish. Number 1, I'd had 2 failed relationships. Number 2, I was old. Number 3, I'd had surgery for endometriosis when I was in my teens. Who knew if I could even get pregnant? But he was charming, and he looked hot in shorts. And his climbing anchors could lower a hippopotamus to safety. So after a year of dating, we started trying. Within 1 month, I was pregnant and planning a wedding. At 18 weeks, right after the honeymoon, a new OBGYN found a second heartbeat. Identical twin boys. But we didn't have time to celebrate or even freak out because they sent us immediately to a specialist who told us that the boys had twin-twin transfusion syndrome, in which the babies share the same placenta, and it's a disease that can be fatal. Paul made sure that I never heard anyone say that their odds were maybe 1 in 10 for survival. He told his mom and his sisters to start praying, and he started researching experts in Tampa and Milwaukee who could perform surgical miracles. I stuck my hands in my fingers in my ears and started talking to the babies. Work together, be a team, share the food. Paul rushed every week from work to be there with me at our appointment with the doctor, his engineering badges flapping over his shoulder and his mechanical pencils poking up out of his pocket. He towered over the doctor and he grilled him endlessly. What are the percentage of fluids? What are the odds we're going to need an intervention? Was this guy the one that was going to do the delivery? And then at 34 weeks, Paul couldn't make it. And the doctor said to me, the babies are doing really well. You guys are edging out of the danger zone. I think you don't really need to come back for 2 weeks. I think you'd be fine. But if I don't schedule you for an appointment, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a phone call from your husband. And I'm afraid of him. So we'll just see you next week. My husband took 6 weeks off from work, and my parents and his sisters came to help. They took shifts so that I could rest. Oh no. Back up. Reverse. 34 weeks, we had the appointment with the doctor. 37 weeks, I waddled into the hospital in my 3XL maternity skirt and Paul's clogs with spiking blood pressure. They did a C-section. Both babies were delivered at 37 weeks, fine. They were safe, nearly 7 pounds each. We could finally exhale. And then I lost 7 pints of blood and required an emergency hysterectomy. I objected. What if I wanted more babies? What if I didn't want a hysterectomy? The doctors told Paul that if they didn't act, I wouldn't make it. So I spent 5 days in the ICU with Paul running back and forth up to the nursery to feed the babies and down where he slept in a chair by my side. All the staff in the hospital knew the story. And when an unfamiliar nurse stopped Paul in the hallway to ask him how he was doing, he just shook his head and cried. My husband took 6 weeks off to be home with us, and my parents and my sisters-in-law came to help. And one morning I said to my mom, "What's with these beautifully stacked burp cloths, the bottle drying rack, and the log where she had written, baby on the left took 3.5 ounces, baby on the right took 2.5. She goes, "Your husband designed this whole system." Eventually, my stitches healed. The babies grew into fantastic toddlers that mastered the parade wave in the Costco cart, that announced their presence at 5 a.m. "Mommy, Aiden's awake!" They're now 11, and we climb together as a family. Paul sets the anchors. I never thought I would have a second chance at love or being a wife, let alone being a mom. And I am so grateful for my life and my children's. And mostly, I'm grateful for finding a partner who was willing to face the boulders head on. Today is our 12th anniversary.